we meet during the week, and we get here very early on Sunday morning so that we feel great about the music we're sharing with you. So I appreciate you guys being here so much, so thank you. Well, today I'm continuing my talk on abundant living. And today in particular, I'll be talking about how being of service contributes to our ability to have a really abundant life. And when I say abundant living, I'm talking about all the good, not just prosperity, although that's a part of it, but I'm talking about the relationships we have and health and our ability to go with the flow and handle the obstacles that come up and the drama that sometimes comes up, right? That's being able to handle that and connect to our source and listen and act on divine guidance. That is abundance. That is abundance in our life. The universe, everything we could possibly need, available to us, expanding through us, for us, as us. That is abundance. And so the premise behind the idea of abundance, according to the author of The Rules of Abundance, Dennis Merritt Jones, he said, there's no better way of initiating the flow of abundance in your life than through the act of serving others. To serve is to extend your essence, your energy to others in a manner that enriches and makes their lives better. Your intention or motivation in serving others sets the precedent for how that energy shall return to you, as we know that it must, right? Because everything comes around. Everything comes around. So I'm talking about service, being of service, not servitude. And a lot of times that's what comes up, is that this idea of being of service actually means servitude. And so I'm going to share a story about servitude. Now, I know you've heard of the story of the prodigal son. And I know I have shared this story at least twice in this last year because it's one of my favorite stories. It's a rich man, a father. He has 2 sons, but he has herds of sheep and goats, and he's wealthy beyond what people can imagine. And he has 2 sons. The youngest son decides to take his inheritance and run off to the equivalent of maybe New York City or Las Vegas, because he thinks he knows better, and he wants to go have fun. What we don't hear about is the brother who stayed behind. We have the older brother. The older brother who, when his little brother ran off with all his inheritance to just blow it, well, who's going to cover all the things little brother did? Big brother. Of course it falls to me. Little brother goes off to have a good time, so, well, now I have to manage his chores. It's me. Sure, he's off spending all his money, and what am I? I'm here. I'm making sure things get handled. While he's off doing whatever, and nobody cares. Okay? Well, it's bad enough, and then he hears little brother blew all his money, and now little brother's coming home. But instead of coming home to eat crow, brother's coming home to a big party. Dad's celebrating little brother coming back. Dad's celebrating. Even though little brother blew all his money, big brother was there the whole time, carrying on the chores, managing things that needed to be managed. Right? He was there all the time. So now he's mad. Okay, he was just resentful and angry at his brother. Now he's really mad. He goes to his father. I've been here the whole time. I've been the one covering for little brother while he's off, making merry. I've been here. I never get a party. I get nothing. Nothing. Father says, everything I have has always been yours. Everything has always been yours. You want a party, have a party. Because everything is yours. Okay, this is the difference between service and servitude. Okay, servitude. Servitude is the opposite of being of service. Behind servitude is lack consciousness. lack consciousness. What about me? Why me? And this leads to me thinking. Okay, that's what we call it. Servitude is all about me thinking. Me thinking. Where service is abundance thinking. So service, being of service, is we thinking. Okay, what are we going to do about this? How can we all grow like in the light together? How can we all, create a better experience? We. Okay, this is service. In abundance thinking, it becomes we thinking, because in abundance thinking, to even be in abundance thinking, we have to be in alignment with our higher self. And in that alignment, communing with Spirit, okay, living in that truth, I am an extension of God. I am the activity and intention of God in this world. Living in that truth, we know another truth, that we're all one. That we are all one, and that God is the light in everybody else too. So even in little brother who ran off to the equivalent of New York or Las Vegas, that's the activity of God in this world too. Okay, so the problem, this is the problem then behind acts of service. When we approach life believing there's not enough for everyone, the human tendency is to focus on serving ourselves first, which breeds the contagion of selfishness, which reinforces the consciousness of lack, which then reaffirms the belief in not enough, and it's just a cycle. We get on a treadmill of me thinking, and we can't get off of it. So it's a consciousness of lack, this believing there's not enough, and believing there is not enough is a contagion. Now, I don't actually remember this event. I was just a little kid, but isn't it true there was a toilet paper shortage in the 70s? And there was a rush on toilet paper? I know there was a rush on gas. Even people who didn't need gasoline, there was a rush on gas, right? You were filling up every bottle you could find, right? Now, a few years ago, we were house hunting. And this is just before the market got a little ridiculous, but people knew it was coming. So we were house hunting up in the tract house, Rolling Hills off of Bryant. And I want to say we looked at 3, maybe 4 houses in that housing tract. The houses were all pretty much the same. But there was this one house, and they were having an open house. And they had painted their rooms really pretty. It was the prettiest interior of all the houses. And we went and looked at it, and we thought it was cool. I mean, we did. We decided it didn't serve us as a family, but it was a cool house. But it was very similar to the other houses we looked at. Right then and there, our realtor says to us, the offers on this house are already pouring in, and one person offered $30,000 over asking price. Because people there were afraid someone else was going to get their house. Everybody wanted that house. Even though there were other houses for sale on that tract that were the same or very similar to that house. Okay, so this is lack thinking. This is lack consciousness. Now, belief in not enough, it is a contagion, and it will contaminate all of our life. All of our life, every part of it. So if we think that we just don't have enough money, or we think we just don't have enough time, that contagion can contaminate how much resources do we have available to share or not to share? How many friends do we have? How's our health? Do we have enough health? Okay, what about good ideas? Do we have enough good ideas, or did somebody else just take my idea? Okay, when I get into lack consciousness, that's where I feel the pinch. It's like somebody else took my idea. Somebody else took my idea, I was supposed to do that. Now, it's harder to give in any area of our life when we are infected with the contagion of not enough. Okay, it'll be harder to give in every area. Because in a lack consciousness, our perception shifts. Our perception will only focus on lack, because if we're saying we're in lack consciousness, I don't have enough money, 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 our brain says, I'm a good assistant, I'm going to prove you right because you are the smartest person in the world, so I'm going to show you you have no money. I'm going to show you proof everywhere in the world we go. And this is what our brain does, and it points the focus everywhere to prove us right. I don't have enough money. And so we don't see the houses maybe that are a great opportunity, very affordable. We don't see other opportunities that are there for us. We don't see all our good that's always available. Okay, because our brain is just being a good assistant. To experience wholeness with a capital W, this is going to be a big problem because being of service in this world is not an option if we want to be a whole person. Okay, so we need to get this, we need to really, really get this understanding and recognize when we are in lack. Because wholeness is all about our relationship to our Creator. That's what it's about. Wholeness is all about what we believe about ourselves and our connection to the divine. If we believe, yes, God is everywhere present, it is all things, everything in existence is an expression of this source energy, and that means me. And that I am created in the image and likeness of my Creator, which means I create just like my Creator does, just in my life. Well, the Creator creates in the whole universe. But if we're not buying into that, if we're not understanding that, if we're not thinking on that, reflecting on that, we are not in a state of wholeness. Now, when we are reminding ourselves, I am the activity and intention of God in this world. I am that, I am. When we remind ourselves of that, we become great at giving and receiving. And this is the key to abundance. Giving and receiving keeps it in motion. We are constantly paying it forward. When we are in alignment with our truth, we are constantly sending good into the world. But when we are in alignment with our truth, we don't know we're being of service. We're just sharing our light in ways that are filling us with joy too, because we're in alignment. Service happens because we are heart to heart, because we're remembering the truth of who we are. And when we remember the truth of who we are, we're remembering the truth of everybody else. That everybody else is the intention and activity of God in this world. Everybody. Even people that drive you nuts. Everybody. All right, so the principle behind being of service. Any form of giving with no strings attached puts us directly in the flow of abundance, which must come full circle. Likewise, being of service is a priceless gift and a specific form of energy, which, when extended to others unconditionally, places us directly in the flow of that abundance. So in short, we cannot serve selflessly without also being served. So when we are in alignment with who we are, and that universe is just expanding right through us, for us, as us, and we are sending all that good into the world, we have to experience that good too. We have to. We have to. It's the law. It is the universal law. William Arthur Ward said, "The more generous we are, the more joyous we become. The more cooperative we are, the more valuable we become. The more enthusiastic we are, the more productive we become. The more serving we are, the more prosperous we become." We get to experience prosperity too. We get to experience all the good too. We're giving it away, and it has to keep coming through us. We're not giving away something that's finite. We're giving away the infinite. So we never run out. We just keep increasing the supply. So this is why this is all so great. Selfless service. When we are in selfless service, this is where things get interesting for us. And it's all because of the law of cause and effect. Now, cause and effect is always at work on our lives. We know what that is. I did this, so this happened, okay? But cause and effect is also about our beliefs leading to certain results in our life and certain experiences in our life. This is why if we have lack consciousness, we tend to keep seeing lack consciousness. Our perception is lack consciousness. Inside of our head, what we might be saying over and over again is, nothing ever works out for me. Everybody else is really lucky. I'm never lucky. Nothing ever works out. Things are hard. Why are things so hard? Why are things so easy for everybody else? But if we're in abundance consciousness, cause and effect works differently in our lives because our perception is different. We see things different. We see the opportunities. And that little program in our head in abundance consciousness might sound like, everything is working out for me. Every little thing is always working out for me. Everything I need is within my reach. everything I need. There it is, right here, right now. Okay, that's the difference. Now, when we are of service, we are already in abundance consciousness, so we don't know we're being of service. But then what happens is, as we are of service, it strengthens our sense of oneness. Okay, oneness with all things, with each other. Then that leads to building our self-confidence. Because we feel more confident when we are in alignment with our source. And that leads to a deepening sense of innate self-worth. And that means more automatically remembering we are the intention and activity of God in a body. It's easier to remember that. It's easier to automatically go there when something happens. Okay, wait. I am the intention and activity of God in this world. How will spirit appear in this situation? How's spirit going to express itself? What's that going to look like? Okay, that's abundance thinking. Now, through the law of attraction, all the good that we do, we have to experience that good too. All the good we do, with no strings attached, without any hidden agenda. All the good we do, just because we feel good, all the good we do, we have to experience that. We have to. So the practice here, to be of service is to be a conscious, open, and willing conduit through which good flows. And it doesn't happen just between the hours of 9 to 5. That's kind of good. See, to be the conscious, open, willing conduit through which good flows, we are doing good, we're being of service, our universe is expanding through us all the time, not just when it's convenient for us, not just when it's convenient. We're here not just to make a living, we're here to thrive. We're here to thrive 24/7. And we thrive by allowing the good to work through us, for us, as us, all the time. Now, if we're not thriving in a situation, that's going to send us right back into lack consciousness. So we do want to think about that. If we find ourselves in a situation and we are not thriving, how can we become of service in that situation? Which means really we have to start with, how can I align with my indwelling spirit? How do I align with spirit first? So all that good is flowing through me. So there are no obstacles anymore, because Source, Spirit, God, love is bigger than anything in its way. There are no obstacles when we are in alignment with our Source. No obstacles. Challenges maybe, but love is bigger than anything in its way. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to let that love keep being bigger than anything in its way. So we're here to share all the light we can. We're here to share all the light we can, all the good that we can, all the time, be that conscious, open, willing conduit through which good flows. All the time. That's what we're actually designed to do. And so that's what's going to feel good. We are going to feel really, really good when we're doing that. Being of service is just feeling good. Okay? Remember, servitude. Servitude is lack consciousness. I don't want to do that. That'd be hard. Nobody cares about me. I work so hard, I'm falling apart. Okay, that's servitude. That's servitude. Woodrow Wilson said, "You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, with a finer spirit of hope and achievement." And we do that by remembering our truth. That's what we do. We don't have to fret about what we have to give away to everybody. No, we think about our truth, the truth of who we are. We don't have to do big, huge things either. We don't have to start a big nonprofit agency. We don't have to cure cancer. Okay, we don't have to do something like solve a third world problem. We don't have to do any of those things. We just be of service right here, from right here. Right? In alignment with our divine truth, that we are spirit expressing in a body, because it's not about what we're doing out here. It's about how we do what we're doing out here. I love sharing the story of Helen Keller because, Helen Keller had a huge obstacle to overcome. She did. In the 20th century, she was one of the leading humanitarians. Leading humanitarian. And I found this out yesterday. She's a co-founder of the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. Helen Keller co-founded that. Did anybody know that besides me finding this out yesterday? Okay, Helen Keller founded that. I didn't know this. She was a social activist. Now, she like toured the planet for like 40 years probably. She wrote at least 15 books. When she was 75 years old though, she went to Asia. She spent 5 months there touring and giving talks on encouragement and inspiration to millions of people. Millions of people in that 5-month period when she was 75 years old. Helen Keller was a huge influencer. She was a huge influencer. Millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people were inspired by her. I mean, she changed lives. That is a huge, huge act of service. Huge. Now, Helen Keller said, and this has stuck with me for so many years, because she said, I am only one. But still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something I can do. Now, this level of influence that Helen Keller had is the exception. Okay, there's probably nobody within 50 miles of here that will have that level of influence. But you know, Helen Keller didn't just get there by magic all on her own. Okay, she had a trail of people behind her that helped her get there. She had her teacher, Annie Sullivan. Annie Sullivan was a teacher, and that was her specialty, to help the blind learn how to function in the world. And so she was perfect for helping Helen. Now, it's clear Helen was already a remarkable person, but she wouldn't have been able to do what she did without Annie. Now, something else interesting, Annie would not have become a teacher if there was this other guy who I don't remember his name, and I never remember his name, and I usually have to Google it again to find out who he was, because he's a nobody in Helen Keller's story. But this guy got Annie, teacher Annie, out of a poorhouse where she was serving as a maid, because they figured she was mostly blind, she'd never amount to anything, but Annie wanted an education. And this guy came with a team of people one day to tour the facility. Annie begged him to get her out of there and into a school for the blind. She begged him, and he did it. And so he helped teacher Annie, who helped Helen Keller. So Helen Keller, she was the popular influencer. She was the influencer that everybody knew. But look behind Helen Keller at the people who lifted her up. When we are of service, we are lifting up somebody. And then they will go on to lift up somebody. And so who knows? Who knows where that act of service is going? We can all do this. We can all do this. Now, what I thought was interesting is Annie found a need that needed to be filled. Teacher Annie knew there are blind people who need help. She knew this. So she filled the need, and it was her job. But she did her job with love. She did her job with so much love. So it became service. That's why it was service, and that's why Helen thrived. We can all find a need and fill it. All of us can. There are a lot of simple, easy things, like doing dishes for somebody, fixing a meal, making soup for Wednesday night potlucks. We're covered this Wednesday, though, right? Right? Yeah, it's this Wednesday. Thank you. Volunteering at a hospital or an animal shelter. I saw a video yesterday where this little girl goes in and reads to dogs in an animal shelter. Okay, so it's sweet that she's spending time with dogs. But you know what's really helping? Is she's making videos of this cuteness. And her parents or the animal shelters are sharing these videos. People are seeing these videos. And there's probably somebody who's gone to adopt a dog because that video got shared, and their heart welled up with compassion. And this little girl who does not even know, probably does not even know, has no idea. Okay, but she made it possible for one of those dogs to get adopted. All right, so we can do our work with love. The payoff is that when we serve others selflessly, we are recognizing them for their essential value. We're recognizing that they matter. When someone knows at the core level of their being that they matter, they are intrinsically guided to demonstrate it in ways that ultimately serve others. So when we recognize the value in someone, we may be the only one who sees it, but then they can feel that and carry it forward. They can pay it forward. So this is what is at the center of selfless acts of service. It's recognizing who we are, but then recognizing that who we are serving is the light of God in this world. In all of God's distressing disguises, we are serving the light of God in this world. When we don't recognize that value in another human being, whatever that looks like, that's judgment. Okay, so whether it's the homeless or immigrants or somebody whose skin is a different color, somebody whose politics differs from ours, somebody whose religion is different than ours, when we go into a space of judgment, we don't recognize their value, we don't see their light, which means we are not able to align with ours. We cannot align with our own light and at the same time be judgmental, because judgment is not in our divine program. Only love. Love is in our divine program. Spiritual truth with a capital T is in our divine program, but not judgment. That's why when we're judging another, it feels kind of bad, because it's like, I'm right, they're wrong. I'm right. Judgment also has agitation, frustration, and some crazy self-righteousness. That's why it doesn't feel good. It's not in our divine program. We are here to express God in this world. We are here to express God in this world. That is our purpose, to be the light of God in this world. That we are a physical expression of the divine. That's what we are. We are the physical expression of the divine. It is through our choices and our activities that we express either more or less of the divine in this world. But we don't always make choices that honor our divine nature. But we can all be stinkers sometimes. Okay? But if we're in judgment, we're expressing less and less of the divine and more lack. That's what happens. We move into lack when we get into a judgy space. Okay, so we want to get out of that space. We can only express the divine to the extent that we can recognize it in another person. Right? So the more light we see in this other person, the more light we can recognize in ourselves. So this is the big challenge of our time. Like imagining somebody who just sends us off the deep end. Okay, imagining them and being able to go past the behaviors and past the terrible things they've done and just like push aside all of that and just see the light. That is a huge challenge. But when we can do that, we are really connecting into our own light. And seeing the light in somebody who drives us crazy, it doesn't mean we have to accept their behaviors. It doesn't. Okay, we can still be against what they do. We can still set a boundary. Okay, we can still decide maybe this person doesn't need to be in our life. Okay, but seeing the light in them is the only way we'll see the light in ourselves. Seeing the light in ourselves is what puts us in solution mode. When we can see the light in ourselves, we get divine direction on the next thing that we should do. And that'll help us move past that obstacle of not being able to stand somebody, like wishing they just didn't exist in this world. Okay? Because it happens. It happens. But when we're connected to the inner spirit, the indwelling spirit, we get divine direction that supports us in moving past that. All right, so remember, the center of selfless acts of service is recognizing that who we are serving is the light, the intention, the activity of God in this world, in all of its distressing disguises. Okay, and all of the evil characters that Spirit is playing in this humanity play we're going through right now. All the world's a stage, right? Okay? Everybody is the light of God in this world. Now I'm going to wrap this up sharing one of my favorite poems. When I first heard this poem, I thought it was a poem of soul speaking to us, our forgetful nature in this body. I really believe that. The soul was expressing love to us in this body, encouraging us, reminding us how loved we are. Okay, so I know you probably know this poem. It's a popular romantic poem. But while I'm reading this poem, I want you to imagine that it's your soul, your higher self, sending a message to you. Okay? I carry your heart with me. I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful, you are my world, my true. And as you are whatever a moon has always meant, and whatever a sun will always sing is you. Here's the deepest secret nobody knows. Here's the root of the root and the bud of the bud and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than the soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. What we do with who we are matters. What we do with this precious life we were given right here and now matters. Everything we could ever need is available to us and expanding through us right here and right now. So how shall you serve in a manner to honor the life that you have come here to live right now? Recognizing, remembering that who you serve is the intention, the activity, and the light of God in this world. Because that's how we create heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed for growth and goodness. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. So it is. Thank you. All right, I'm going to have the Unity Band come up here. We're going to do our last song for you.